Good evening and welcome to Unity of Lehigh Valley Facebook Live Wednesday Refresh. My name is Reverend Rachel Sue Ritz. I'm going to start with a music, and it's a hymn, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. I love the spirituals, and even though some of the words aren't unity words, I am very good at interpreting, so I invite you to interpret along with me. I love that song, and I love the beat to it. The daily word today is pray for others. I am blessed as I pray for others. When I pray for others, I am blessing them with words of affirmation and loving care. I too am blessed by my positive, uplifting words as I release them from my mind into the mind and heart of God. Using my prayer time to focus on the needs and desires of the people in my life fulfills me as I share prayers of peace, prosperity, and freedom. Praying for others also frees me from worry as I envision the highest and best outcomes unfolding in the lives of those for whom I pray. I hold unshakable faith that their good is now on its way to them. The sincerity of my prayers energizes me and raises my spirits. I feel happy as I envision those I care about abundantly blessed in so many ways. And from Ephesians 1:16, I do not cease to give thanks for you as I remember you in my prayers. Pray for others. There are many stories of healing in the New Testament, and I'm particularly drawn to them, perhaps because I'm a nurse as well as a minister. Perhaps I'm always fascinated by the mechanism behind the healings, which metaphysics is all about. Beyond the physical, beyond the senses, there are spiritual principles, which is the mechanism of healing or the how-to. We can use those principles in our lives, and as we do, we enable the world to operate within spiritual principle too. This evening, I will speak about one of my favorite Bible stories, found in John chapter 5, verse 1. It's the story of the man that Jesus healed at the pool of Bethesda. In metaphysical, mystical Christianity, the Bible's stories reveal layer after layer of truth principles. profound and beautiful teachings that transformed people thousands of years ago and are here for us today. You could read this story several times and find different layers of spiritual teachings. The challenges of humankind have changed very little over time. The metaphysical meanings of the stories in the Bible are a treasure trove for us and a path we may not have experienced in our churches of origin. In the Bible story of the man who was healed at the pool of Bethesda, the man had been ill for 38 years. Each day, an angel of the Lord would come down and stir the water in the pool of Bethesda. The first person in the pool, after the water was stirred, was healed. Now, the healing pool of Bethesda is bordered by 5 entrances or porticos. And metaphysically, these 5 entrances represent our 5 senses. And so what do we do with our 5 senses? Our 5 senses interpret the world for us. And based on our 5 senses, we decide how successful we are, how wealthy, healthy, smart, handsome or pretty, talented, and we also learn what sickness means to us. Then we get the chance to compare and contrast ourselves to the outer standard. Next, we take it one step further and we react. We can feel good or we can feel less than good or fearful. So let's return to our story. For a moment, imagine the scene at the pool of Bethesda. There were perhaps hundreds of people lying, squatting, sitting around the pool. All of them had some kind of physical or emotional illness. They were all waiting for that angel to stir the water. And they waited and they waited, every day hoping that something in the outer would magically change their circumstances. Now, do we ever do that? Sure we do. We're a nation of people who buy and consume enormous amounts of stuff in the hope that the stuff of the world will make us feel better, look better, smell better, in essence, providing us with the ultimate fix, even though we don't even know what we want fixed. At the pool, Jesus happens upon this mass of suffering humanity. He walks over people, he walks around them to get to that one man. And I think that this is very interesting. Well, perhaps after 38 years of being ill, after 38 years of being exhausted, he has given up and giving in. And maybe in his desperation, he remembered to turn to God. I can relate to that. How about you? Have you ever tried to solve a problem? You struggle and struggle, exhausting every human possibility, sometimes exhausting yourself in the process. Life seems to be one crisis after another, and then bingo, a light goes off. So let's see what happens to the man at the pool. So Jesus finds him and he walks up to him and he asks him a very simple question. Do you want to be made well? I love this question. And the answer to this seems simple, right? Of course, yes, I want to be made well. But what did the man say? Did he say yes to Jesus' question? No. He made excuses. He whined, he complained. He used his senses to make a judgment. And he said, Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. And when I'm making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me. In other words, I don't have any friends. If I did, they would be here to help me. Everyone else has someone to help them into the pool. I never get to the water first. Only those people do. They have all of the luck. They must have an angel as a friend. I've been sick for 38 years, so basically I'm just going to give up. The man is faced with his permanent healing, facing his good. Have you ever had a similar response? When you're faced with your good, we can't believe it. We can't imagine our lives without our limitations and fears, without stress, struggle, and strain. So I ask you this evening, what are you saying no to because you are living in your fear, living in your little self? Do we really want what we say we want or think what we want? It's so much easier to talk about what we want and don't get and then complain about it. This is what the story is all about. This is what the story begs us to ask of ourselves. Something profound happened to the man at the pool of Bethesda. The Christ, the lumen spiritual awareness, was in his face as Jesus, standing in front of him. The man surrendered his stuff, his whining, his complaining, his excuses to the Christ of his being. All the Christ needed was a small opportunity, an opening to bring a greater dimension of himself into the man's life. The Christ called forth the man's whole and healed self to come out of the tomb of ignorance and fear. Rise up, get up, stop sitting on your consciousness, your mat. Raise that consciousness, take it up and walk, use it, and be healed. We are being called to live the whole and healed life that is our true nature. It lies dormant beneath our human experience. It is waiting to rise up. Later on, Jesus ran into the man in the temple, and Jesus said to him, "See, you are well. Sin no more, that nothing worse befall you. Do not let the world define you, or else you will fall back into your old ways of thinking, acting, speaking, and being. It isn't out there. I am the Christ in here." The story of the healing at Bethesda reminds me that each and every one of us is the pool of Bethesda. We are the pool of healing consciousness, the healing waters of spirit for ourselves, the community, and the world. Many will come, and we will be the angels for one another, angels that stir the water. To me, this is the essence, the core of healing. Jesus didn't have any quick fixes. He just had himself to give. His loving, non-judgmental, divine self. Would you be made well? All you have to do is say yes and get ready to take up your mat and walk. To step forward, even if it's an itty-bitty step. You may not know where you're going or how you will get there. I'm going to play another song as we prepare for our meditation. Okay. So I invite you now to find a comfortable spot. Take some deep breaths. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And so now I invite you to bring your awareness to your heart space. Would you be made well? What is it that you're asking for healing? Is it something in the physical? Something in the emotional? Something of a spiritual nature? Would you be made well? Your choice is yes or no. If you say yes to healing, then know that you have been heard. I invite you to open yourself to the healing presence of the Christ within. Breathe into your heart space and continue to relax. Your indwelling divinity is your perfect essence. It is the core of your healing. As you continue to breathe and relax, know that just saying yes marshals all of the spiritual energies in the universe for your good. And while we are living in a dimension of 5 senses, the most power that we have is our spiritual power, our divinity. Discovering and uncovering that balances everything from the material world. Would you be made well? All you have to do is say yes. Say yes and know that all is well. And get ready to take up your mat and walk. And step forward, even if you're not sure where you're going. Step forward in faith. And now I invite you to just sit in the silence. Now I invite you to take some more deep breaths and return to this time and this place. Many will come, and we will be the angels for one another, angels that stir the water. Thank you, Spirit, for your presence in our lives and in the lives of our loved ones, in the lives of all who need healing, all who have requested healing. And so it is. Amen and amen. So we are so happy that you have tuned in today. On Sunday, I'm going to be sharing the Spiritual Tool Trust from the Handbook of Spiritual Tools, written by Reverend Lauren McLaughlin. And so I invite you to join us for the Sunday service and know that the whole universe loves and supports you, and so do I. I also wanted to say that this will be my last Wednesday refresh. I won't be doing any Wednesday refreshes in July. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.